chosen one. Are you tired of God's silence? Have you been praying the same desperate prayer for months, maybe years, wondering if heaven has changed its address and forgot to tell you? Are you lying awake at 3 a.m. tonight, staring at that ceiling, feeling like you're one more disappointment away from giving up completely? Stop. Right there. What if I told you that your desperation, your sleepless nights, your unanswered prayers, what if all of that wasn't God ignoring you, but God preparing you for the most critical night of your entire life? Tonight isn't just another night where you scroll through videos hoping to feel better. Tonight is the night heaven has been waiting for. Some nights are just nights you eat dinner, watch television, go to bed. But then there are nights when heaven itself leans over the balcony of eternity, angels pressing against the golden rails, watching to see what you'll do next. Tonight is one of those nights. The courtroom of heaven is in session right now. Your name is on the docket. The gavel is about to fall. And what happens in the next hour, what you choose to believe, what you choose to declare, what you choose to do, will determine whether you rise into your destiny or sink deeper into the quicksand of defeat. If you're hearing my voice right now, it's no accident. You didn't stumble here while browsing YouTube. You were summoned, divinely redirected. Your spirit heard the call before your mind even clicked play. Heaven needed you here, in this moment, for what's about to unfold. I need you to do something right now. Don't think about it, just do it. Type in the comments or say out loud, "I'm here, Lord." You're not just leaving a comment. You're marking yourself present before the throne of Almighty God. You're declaring that despite every reason to quit, despite every door that slammed in your face, despite every prayer that seemed to echo back empty, you're still here. You're still standing. You're still believing. Before we journey deeper into this sacred hour together, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and plant that seed of faith. Because here's what I'm about to reveal, and this will shake you to your core. There is one decision you will make before this night ends. One choice that will separate those who rise from the ashes of their circumstances from those who remain buried beneath them. One moment of divine intersection that could change everything. The clock is striking midnight on your destiny, chosen one, and heaven is watching to see what you'll do next. How many nights have you laid in that same bed, staring at the same ceiling, wondering if God's GPS broke when it came to your address? How many times have you whispered into the darkness, "Lord, did I miss my exit somewhere back there?" How many mornings have you woken up feeling like you're living someone else's leftover life instead of the abundant one you promised me? Listen to me carefully, dear one. Tonight, this very night, you're standing at the most critical crossroads of your entire existence. Not tomorrow, when you feel more ready. Not next week, when your circumstances look better. Tonight, right now. While your heart is still beating with divine purpose, while breath is still flowing through your lungs, while there's still time to change everything. Picture this with me. You're standing at a fork in the road. To your left, the path slopes downward, easy, familiar, dimly lit by the dying embers of old dreams and faded hopes. It's the road of what if and if only. The road where seniors go to quietly fade into the background of life. Down that path you can almost hear the whispers. Your time has passed. Your season is over. Just make peace with what little you have left. But to your right, oh, to your right, there's a path that climbs upward. It's bathed in golden light that seems to pulse with each heartbeat. It's steep, yes. It demands something from you. But at the top, you can see figures waving, men and women who chose to believe that God's promises don't have expiration dates. That's the road of what's still possible. That's the path of divine acceleration. You see, chosen one, every person who ever changed the world, stood exactly where you're standing tonight. At a moment when everything hung in the balance, when one decision would echo through eternity, Moses stood at this crossroads at 80 years old, 80, when God called him from a burning bush. The world would have handed him a rocking chair and a pension, but God handed him a staff and said, "Now we begin your real work." Joshua stood here at the walls of Jericho, staring at stone barriers that had stood for generations, with nothing but trumpets and faith. Esther stood here in the throne room, knowing that one wrong word could mean death, but one right word could save a nation. And the Bible records God's eternal invitation in Deuteronomy 30:19. "I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live." Tonight, God is setting that same choice before you. Life or death, breakthrough or breakdown, abundance or acceptance of scraps. But here's what's breaking my heart as I speak to you tonight. Too many of you have been carrying a weight that was never meant for your shoulders. The weight of regret, the crushing burden of wasted years. You look back at the decisions you didn't make, the chances you didn't take, the dreams you buried under responsibilities and circumstances, and the enemy whispers, "See, you're too late. You missed your shot. God's moved on to someone younger, someone who didn't mess up as much as you did." That is a lie straight from the pit of hell. Let me tell you about a woman named Anna. She was 84 years old, 84, when she encountered the baby Jesus in the temple. Luke 2:37 tells us she had been a widow for decades, spending her days in prayer and fasting. The world saw an old woman who had lost her husband, her youth, her prime years. But God saw a prophetess positioned for the moment when heaven would break into earth. And when Mary and Joseph brought Jesus to the temple, Anna was there. She was the first to proclaim redemption to all who were looking for it in Jerusalem. 84 years old, and she became the first evangelist of the gospel. Her wasted years of widowhood became her qualification, not her disqualification. Here's the truth that will set you free tonight. God doesn't just redeem your future, He redeems your past. Romans 8:28 promises that all things work together for good for those who love God. Not some things, not just the pretty things, all things, every failure, every detour, every season you thought was lost, God has been weaving it into a tapestry of purpose that will take your breath away. But here's the urgency, beloved. Here's why tonight matters more than any other night of your life. There's a spiritual principle the enemy doesn't want you to understand. Breakthrough is always preceded by a moment of choice. A moment when you have to decide if you're going to keep believing the same old lies or step into the same old truth that has been setting people free for thousands of years. You think you've been sitting on the sidelines too long. Moses tended sheep for 40 years before he split the Red Sea. You think your mistakes have disqualified you? David committed adultery and murder, yet God called him a man after his own heart. You think you're too set in your ways. Abraham was 75 when God told him to pack up everything and start over in a land he'd never seen. Age isn't your limitation, it's your liberation. Because at your age, you've stopped caring what people think. You've stopped playing it safe. You've got nothing left to lose and everything eternal to gain. If you've ever felt like time has passed you by, if you've ever looked in the mirror and wondered if your best days are behind you, if you've ever whispered to God, "Am I too late?" I need you to type, "Not too late" in the comments right now, because tonight that changes. Tonight we're about to discover that God's been saving His best wine for last. But there's something else you need to understand about this critical night. Something that will determine whether you walk away from this message the same person who started watching, or whether you step into a completely different destiny. You know what nobody tells you about being chosen? They don't tell you that the calling comes wrapped in catastrophe. They don't tell you that God's favorites get hell's finest ammunition fired directly at their hearts. Look at me. Look at these eyes that have seen 73 years on this earth. I need to tell you something that's going to cut deep, but it might just save your life tonight. Every single thing that tried to destroy you, every betrayal that left you gasping for air, every diagnosis that made your knees buckle, every child who walked away and never looked back, every dream that died in your hands like a wounded bird, none of it was random. None of it was cruel fate. All of it was qualification. Let me paint you a picture that's going to shatter everything you thought you knew about your pain. Picture a 17-year-old boy named Joseph, standing in a pit so deep he can't see the sky. His own brothers, his own blood just sold him like cattle to strangers. Can you hear his voice echoing off those stone walls? God, you gave me dreams of ruling, and now I'm livestock. 13 years. 13 years that boy spent in slavery and prison, wondering if those dreams were just the cruel jokes of a sleeping mind. But here's what Joseph didn't know while he rotted in that Egyptian dungeon. Every betrayal was building his character. Every injustice was developing his discernment. Every tear was washing away everything that wasn't strong enough to handle a kingdom. Genesis 50:20 says it perfectly. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. Now let me ask you something that's going to make your chest tight. How many years have you spent in your own prison? How many nights have you laid in that bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering why the God who supposedly loves you keeps allowing your world to crumble? Maybe it was that stroke at 68 that left you struggling to speak the words that once came so easily. Maybe it was watching your daughter choose drugs over family, watching her disappear into a world you don't recognize. Maybe it was burying your husband of 47 years and realizing you don't know how to be alone. Maybe it was losing that house you thought you'd die in, the one where you raised your babies and hosted every Christmas. I see you there, thinking I'm reading your mail. I am, because chosen ones carry the same scars. But listen to me carefully, dear one. There's something about gold that most people don't understand. You can't just dig it out of the ground and put it on a king's finger. Raw gold is mixed with dirt, contaminated with impurities that make it worthless. The goldsmith has to heat it to 1945 degrees Fahrenheit. He has to watch it melt. He has to wait for every piece of trash to rise to the surface so he can scrape it away. The goldsmith doesn't stop heating until he can see his own reflection in the molten gold. Your tears have been the fire, beloved. Every sob that shook your shoulders, every scream that tore from your throat in the middle of the night when you thought God wasn't listening, that was the refining process. God wasn't torturing you, He was purifying you. He was burning away everything that wasn't strong enough, pure enough, tested enough to carry what He's about to place in your hands. You think you're broken? Number. You're refined. You think you're damaged goods? Number. You're purified gold. You think your best days are behind you? Oh, dear soul, you have no idea what's coming. Let me tell you about a man named Nelson Mandela. 27 years in prison. 27 years watching sunrises through iron bars, wondering if freedom was just a word people used to torture themselves with hope. But when he walked out of that cell, he wasn't just a free man. He was a president. The prison didn't break him. It forged him into something the world had never seen. But you don't need to be famous to understand this principle. Let me tell you about Margaret from Detroit. Lost her husband to cancer, lost her home to medical bills, moved into a tiny apartment at 74. Sure, her story was over. But it was in that little apartment where she started writing letters to lonely seniors all across Michigan. Today, At 81, her letters have prevented over 200 suicides. Her pain became her platform. Do you understand what I'm telling you? The very thing that almost killed you is about to become the very thing that gives life to others. I need you to do something right now. If you've survived something you thought would destroy you completely, if you've walked through fire and somehow you're still breathing, still believing, still here watching this message, I need you to say it out loud. I'm still here. Say it again. Louder this time. I'm still here. Your survival wasn't luck. Your endurance wasn't stubbornness. Your ability to keep going when quitting made perfect sense wasn't human strength. That was divine DNA activating in your bloodstream. That was the mark of the chosen revealing itself in your spirit. Because here's what I haven't told you yet. There's a mark the chosen carry. It's invisible to the natural eye, but heaven recognizes it instantly. It's carved not by blessings, but by battles, not by comfort, but by crisis. And I'm going to show you exactly how to know if you bear this mark. But first, you need to understand why God allowed you to be marked in the first place. You need to understand why your story had to be written in tears before it could be written in triumph. Because tonight, everything changes. Tonight, the prisoner becomes the president. Tonight, the broken becomes the breakthrough. But are you ready to discover what makes this night different from every other night you've survived? Listen to me, chosen one. Can you hear that? That sound echoing through the corridors of eternity. It's the sound of an ancient clock not made of brass or gold, but forged from the very breath of God Himself. And right now, at this very moment, that clock is approaching midnight. Tick, 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 tick. You see, there are moments in every life when time itself holds its breath, when the universe pauses, when angels lean forward on their seats, when even the Almighty waits to see what you will choose. Tonight is one of those moments. Tonight is your midnight hour. But here's what terrifies me, dear one. Here's what keeps me awake at night, praying for souls like yours. Most people, 99% of people, will let this moment slip by like water through their fingers. They'll treat tonight like any other night. They'll go to bed the same person they were when they woke up this morning. They'll waste the most sacred appointment of their entire existence. Don't you dare be one of them. Do you remember Joshua at the walls of Jericho? For 6 days, the Israelites marched around those massive walls in silence. 6 days of looking at the same impossible obstacles. 6 days of wondering if God had forgotten His promise. The walls looked exactly the same on day 6 as they did on day 1. Nothing had changed. Nothing had moved. But on the 7th day, the appointed day, everything shifted. Joshua 6:20 tells us, "When the trumpet sounded, the army shouted, and at the sound of the trumpet, when the men gave a loud shout, the wall collapsed." The walls didn't crumble slowly. They didn't chip away piece by piece. In one supernatural moment, what had stood for generations was completely obliterated. Why? Because they acted at the appointed time. Because when heaven said now, they didn't hesitate. They didn't wait for a better moment. They didn't need to understand the strategy. They just obeyed. Tonight is your 7th day. You've been marching around your Jericho for too long. That financial mountain that's crushed your dreams, that's your Jericho. That health crisis that's stolen your peace, that's your Jericho. That loneliness that makes you question if anyone even sees you anymore, that's your Jericho. That generational curse that's plagued your family for decades, that's your Jericho. But tonight, this very hour, heaven is handing you the trumpet. The question is, will you blow it? Let me paint you 2 pictures. Chosen one. 2 futures. 2 destinies. Both equally real. Both waiting for your choice. Picture number 1. You close this video. You go to bed tonight, the same person you were yesterday. The same fears, the same limitations, the same quiet desperation. You wake up tomorrow morning and the cycle continues. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months. And one day you'll sit in that same chair, 5 years older, 10 years weaker, wondering what would have happened if you had just believed, if you had just acted, if you had just said yes when God whispered your name. The opportunities that were meant for you will go to someone else. The breakthrough that was ordained for your family will skip a generation. The testimony that was supposed to flow from your life will remain locked in silence. You'll become a living monument to what could have been. But picture number 2, and this is where heaven holds its breath. You choose to trust tonight. You choose to believe that the God who parted the Red Sea, who raised the dead, who spoke galaxies into existence, can handle whatever wall is standing in your way. You choose to step out of the boat of safety and walk on the water of impossibility. When you make that choice, when you really make it, everything changes. Not just spiritually, practically. Your phone starts ringing with opportunities. Your bank account starts shifting. Your health takes a supernatural turn. Your relationships begin to heal. Your children start calling more often. Your grandchildren start looking at you differently. Why? Because you carry something now that you didn't carry before. You carry the authority of someone who said yes when God called their name. You become a walking miracle, a living testimony, a breathing example that it's never too late for God to rewrite your story. So which picture will you choose? Here's the decision that separates those who rise tonight from those who remain buried beneath their circumstances. It's not about being perfect. It's not about having all the answers. It's not about being young or educated or connected. It's about radical trust. Radical trust means you stop asking God to explain himself and start obeying what he's already revealed. Radical trust means you stop waiting for the perfect moment and realize this is the perfect moment. Radical trust means you stop looking at your bank account, your age, your limitations, and start looking at the size of your God. Proverbs 3:5-6 says it plainly. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. All your heart. Not some of your heart, not most of your heart, all your heart. But here's what radical trust requires from you tonight, and this is where most people turn back. It requires public alignment. It requires you to stop being a secret believer and become a declared one. It requires you to stop tiptoeing around your faith and start walking boldly in it. I'm going to ask you to do something right now that might feel uncomfortable, something that might make your flesh squirm, something that might make the enemy of your soul panic. I want you to stand up, right where you are. I don't care if you're in your living room, your bedroom, your kitchen. I don't care if someone else is in the house. I don't care if it feels awkward. Stand up, lift your hands toward heaven, and say these words out loud. Lord, I choose life tonight. I choose trust tonight. I choose breakthrough tonight. This is my stake in the ground. This is my yes to your call. Use me, Lord. Change me, Lord. I'm ready for my walls to fall. This isn't just a prayer, chosen one. This is your declaration of war against every force that's tried to keep you small. This is your notice to heaven that you're ready for the impossible. This is your seventh-day shout. Because when you finally stop trying to figure out how God will move and start trusting that he will move, you become unstoppable. When you align your voice with heaven's voice, miracles become inevitable. The clock is still ticking. Midnight is approaching. Your Jericho walls are trembling. The only question left is this. What will you choose when the trumpet sounds? You know what breaks my heart? It's when I meet someone who's been chosen by God since before their first breath, but they're walking around believing they're ordinary. They've been carrying supernatural gifts their entire life, yet they think they're broken because the world can't understand them. Tonight, that lie dies. Because if you're still watching this message, If something deep in your spirit wouldn't let you click away, it's because heaven is about to reveal the 3 sacred marks that prove beyond any shadow of doubt that you are not like everyone else. You never were. You never will be. And here's what's going to shock you. These marks have been operating in your life for decades, but you've been calling them curses instead of recognizing them as your greatest gifts. The first mark: spiritual discernment. You feel it, don't you? That knowing. That ability to walk into a room and immediately sense the atmosphere. You can tell when someone's lying before they finish their sentence. You know when something bad is about to happen to someone you love. You feel the weight of spiritual battles most people don't even know exist. The world has told you that you're too sensitive. Your own family has called you paranoid. But let me tell you about a prophet named Elisha who carried this exact same gift. 2 Kings chapter 6 tells us that the king of Aram was waging war against Israel, but every battle plan he made somehow got back to the enemy. His own officers suspected a spy among them. But one of his servants said something that will give you chills. "None of us, my lord, the king." It is Elisha, the prophet who is in Israel, who tells the king of Israel the very words you speak in your bedroom. Elisha could hear conversations happening miles away. He could sense enemy movements before they happened. His spiritual discernment was so sharp that an entire army couldn't hide from him. That's you, chosen one. Your ability to sense what others can't see isn't mental illness, it's divine intelligence. When you get that sick feeling in your stomach about someone, that's not anxiety, that's the Holy Spirit warning you. When you know something's wrong with your grandchild before anyone calls you, that's not coincidence, that's supernatural connection. Stop apologizing for your gift. Stop letting people convince you that your discernment is dysfunction. God gave you spiritual radar because He trusts you with information others couldn't handle. The second mark: drawing the pure-hearted. Have you ever noticed how children gravitate toward you without explanation? How animals seem to sense something in you that draws them close? How broken people pour out their deepest secrets to you in grocery store checkout lines? This isn't random, dear one. This is the second mark of the chosen. You carry something so pure, so authentic, so filled with divine light that innocence recognizes you instantly. Children don't trust easily. They have an instinct that cuts through pretense like a knife. Animals can sense spiritual frequencies that adults have learned to ignore. And wounded souls, they can spot a genuine healer from a mile away. Jesus said in Matthew 18:3, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." Children see what adults miss. They respond to what adults overlook. And they're drawn to you because your spirit still carries the purity that most people lose by the time they reach adulthood. You think it's a burden that people dump their problems on you? No, it's evidence that you radiate something sacred. You think it's exhausting that broken hearts seek you out. That's not your cross to bear, that's your calling to heal. Every time a stranger tells you their life story, every time a stray animal follows you home, every time a grandchild runs to you instead of their own parents, heaven is confirming what your spirit already knows. You carry the frequency of home. The third mark: creative alignment. Here's where it gets dangerous for the enemy's kingdom. Here's why he's worked so hard to convince you that you're ordinary. Your thoughts don't just think, they create. Your words don't just speak, they shape reality. Your prayers don't just petition, they command atmospheres to shift. Proverbs 23:7 declares, "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he." But for the chosen, this verse operates on a supernatural level. What you think consistently becomes what you experience repeatedly. What you speak with faith becomes what manifests in your life. Think back over your life. How many times have you had a thought, a dream, a vision that later came to pass? How many times have you spoken something in faith and watched it materialize in ways that defied explanation? How many times have people told you that your prayers always seem to get answered? That's not luck. That's not coincidence. That's the third mark your mind is aligned with divine creation itself. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to realize. If your thoughts have been creating your reality all along, then you have the power to think yourself into a completely different life. You have the authority to speak yourself out of poverty and into prosperity. You have the ability to pray yourself out of sickness and into divine health. The same God who spoke worlds into existence has given you a measure of that same creative power. When you finally understand this, when you stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start recognizing yourself as a co-creator with the Almighty, everything changes. But here's the question that's burning in your spirit right now. If you carry these 3 marks, if you've had supernatural abilities operating in your life for decades, why hasn't your life reflected the abundance and victory that should come with being chosen? Because you've been using your gifts defensively instead of offensively. You've been surviving instead of thriving. You've been hiding your light under a bushel basket of doubt and self-criticism. Tonight, that changes. In just a moment, I'm going to show you exactly how to activate these marks before you sleep tonight. How to turn your spiritual discernment into prophetic insight. How to transform your ability to draw the pure-hearted into a ministry of healing. How to align your creative thoughts with God's will for supernatural manifestation. But first, I need you to make a decision that will determine whether these gifts remain dormant or explode into their full potential. Write down in the comments the mark you believe God has most developed in you. Don't overthink it. Your first instinct is usually heaven's whisper, type discernment, pure-hearted magnet, or creative alignment. This isn't just interaction, this is activation. You're declaring to heaven which gift you're ready to fully step into. Because chosen one, the hour is late, the battle is intense, and God needs his marked ones to stop hiding and start rising. The question that will determine your destiny is this. Will you keep treating your supernatural gifts like curses, or will you finally embrace them as the divine weapons they were always meant to be? Listen to me, chosen one. For the past hour, heaven has been downloading something into your spirit. You've felt it stirring, haven't you? That ancient recognition, that awakening fire, that knowing that tonight, this very night, is different from every other night you've lived through, but feeling it isn't enough. Knowing it isn't enough. The enemy is counting on you to walk away from this moment feeling inspired but unchanged. He's banking on you closing this video, going to bed, and waking up tomorrow living the same defeated life you've been trapped in for years. Not tonight. Tonight, you don't just receive this word. Tonight, you activate it. Tonight, you don't just feel the presence of God. Tonight, you partner with it, because there's a difference between being a spectator of your destiny and being the architect of it. The moment has come for you to stop being passive about your calling and start being prophetic about your future. Every chosen one throughout history had to make this choice. Moses at the burning bush, David with the stone, Esther before the king. They had to move from revelation to activation. From hearing God to obeying God. From believing the promise to becoming the promise. Your activation begins now. I want you to stand up. Yes, right now. I don't care if you're 70, 80 or 90 years old. I don't care if your knees hurt or your back aches. Stand up. Because what you're about to do requires you to rise physically before you can rise spiritually. Stand in your living room, in your bedroom, wherever you are. Stand as a declaration that you are not bowing to limitation anymore. Place your right hand over your heart. Feel it beating. That rhythm isn't just blood pumping through your veins. That's the heartbeat of destiny. That's the drumbeat of divine purpose. And tonight, that heartbeat is synchronizing with the heartbeat of heaven itself. Now, I want you to speak these words out loud. Not whisper them, not think them. Speak them with the authority of someone who has been marked by the Almighty. Say it loud enough for the angels to hear. Say it bold enough for the demons to flee. Say it clear enough for your own spirit to believe it. Say, I see what God has shown me tonight. Louder, I receive what God is releasing over my life. With everything in you, I will walk in it from this moment forward. Do you feel that shift? That's not your imagination. That's the atmosphere changing around you. That's spiritual law being activated. That's the decree of heaven being established on earth through your voice. But your activation doesn't stop there. Every true chosen one learns that the mark of God isn't just what you carry, it's how you release it. Isaiah 40:31 promises that those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Mount up with wings like eagles. Can you see it? Can you envision your life post tonight? Not crawling through your days like a wounded animal, but soaring above your circumstances like the prophetic eagle you were created to be. Eagles don't get caught in storms. Chosen one. They use the storms to rise higher. Tonight activates 3 supernatural capacities in your life, and you must implement all 3 within the next 24 hours, or risk this moment becoming just another memory instead of the turning point it was designed to be. First, speak life. Your voice carries creative power. Genesis tells us God spoke worlds into existence, and you are made in His image. Tomorrow morning, the first words out of your mouth will either resurrect your faith or bury it deeper. Choose life. Speak blessing over your finances. Declare healing over your body. Prophesy restoration over your relationships. Your words are not wishes, they are weapons. Second, align your thoughts with your faith. 2 Corinthians 10:5 commands us to take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. Every doubt that creeps in tomorrow, every fear that whispers lies, every memory that tries to drag you back, capture it, arrest it, replace it with the truth of what God spoke over you tonight. Your mind is the battlefield where your destiny is either won or lost. Third, serve someone within 24 hours, not next week, not when you feel like it. Tomorrow, find someone hurting and pour into them. The widow next door who hasn't had a visitor in months. The cashier at the grocery store who looks like life has beaten them down. The grandchild who needs to hear they're loved. When you become a channel of blessing, you position yourself to receive the flood of blessing God wants to release in your direction. This is your flight plan, chosen one. This is how eagles are activated. Not by sitting in the nest hoping things will change, but by spreading their wings and catching the wind of God's Spirit. But I need you to understand something that will shock you to your core. The enemy has been watching this moment. He's seen the light that just got turned on in your spirit, and he's about to launch his most vicious attack yet. Tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up and doubt everything you felt tonight. You're going to question whether this was real. You're going to let logic talk you out of the supernatural encounter you just experienced. That's when you'll know you're a threat. That's when you'll know you're dangerous. That's when you'll know this activation was real. If this night has stirred something in your spirit that you can't ignore, if you feel the wind of change beginning to blow through your circumstances, then seal this moment. Don't let it drift away like a beautiful dream. Share this word with someone who needs to hear it. Testify in the comments below. Tell us what God spoke to your heart tonight. Call someone right now and declare, "Tonight I chose life, because chosen one." This isn't the end of your story. This is the beginning of the chapter where everything changes. The question that will determine your destiny is this: will you wake up tomorrow as someone who had a powerful experience, or as someone who became a living expression of God's power? The choice is yours. But heaven is watching to see what you'll do with what just happened to you. Heaven's courtroom is quiet now. The angels have set down their trumpets. The 24 elders have stopped their endless worship. Even the 4 living creatures, those magnificent beings who never cease crying, "Holy, holy, holy," they've fallen silent. The King has risen from his throne, and he's walking toward the edge of eternity, looking for you. Can you feel it? That strange stillness pressing against your chest right now? That's not anxiety, beloved. That's the weight of divine attention. Heaven itself is holding its breath, because what happens next in your life will echo through generations you'll never meet. Your name has been spoken in the halls of eternity, not whispered, not mentioned in passing, spoken with authority, declared with purpose. The Almighty God of the universe, the one who carved out the Grand Canyon with his finger, who hung the stars like Christmas lights across the cosmos. He just said your name, your full name, the name your mama gave you, and the name that's written in his book before time began. But here's what's breaking my heart tonight, dear one. While heaven is leaning in to watch your next move, you're sitting there wondering if God even remembers you exist. While angels are positioning themselves to minister to you, you're convinced you've been forgotten. While the King of Kings is preparing to reveal his plan for your life, you're staring at your phone at 2 a.m., wondering if anyone would notice if you just disappeared. Stop lying to yourself. Jeremiah 1-5 declares, "Before I formed you in the womb I knew you. Before you were born I set you apart." Set you apart, not set you aside, not set you back, set you apart. That word in Hebrew means to consecrate, to make holy, to mark for sacred purpose. You weren't born by accident, chosen one. You were born by appointment. Your name has been spoken in the halls of eternity. Listen to me carefully. Right now, in this very moment, there's a sacred chamber in heaven where light falls like liquid gold across marble floors that have never known shadows. In this chamber, your name isn't just written, it's echoing, bouncing off walls that have heard the confessions of kings and the cries of prophets. Your name is reverberating through a space so holy that Moses had to cover his face just to survive being near it. And in that chamber, the king is holding something in his hand. I saw it in a vision 3 nights ago. Woke up at 3:17 a.m. with my heart pounding so hard I thought I was having a heart attack. But it wasn't my heart giving out. It was my spirit receiving a download from heaven itself. I saw the king's hand, scarred from the nails, holding an object that will determine your next season, your next chapter, your next level of breakthrough, or your next cycle of defeat. Your name has been spoken in the halls of eternity. But here's what's keeping me awake at night. Here's what's burning in my chest like holy fire. Some of you hearing this message right now are about to walk away. You're going to close this video, scroll to something easier, something that doesn't demand anything from you. You're going to convince yourself this is just another preacher making grand promises about breakthroughs that never come. And if you do that, if you turn away from this divine moment, what the king is holding in his hand will remain sealed, locked, hidden. You'll wake up tomorrow morning the same person who went to bed tonight, broken, barely hanging on. Is that really how you want to spend your remaining years on this earth? Wondering what could have been, asking yourself why you were too afraid to believe that God still had something beautiful planned for your life. Your name has been spoken in the halls of eternity. Close your eyes for just 10 seconds right now. Don't think about it, just do it. Picture the king's eyes on you, those eyes that see past your failures to your potential, past your scars to your strength, past your age to your anointing. Those eyes that aren't looking at who you've been, they're looking at who you're becoming. Don't lose this image. Lock it in your heart, because what I'm about to reveal next will shatter every limitation you've placed on your final chapter. The room in heaven is silent because a decision is about to be made. Not by God, he already chose you before the foundation of the world. The decision is yours. The choice that will either launch you into the most significant season of your entire life or seal you into another year of barely getting by. Your name has been spoken in the halls of eternity, and heaven is waiting to see if you'll finally answer the call. Revelation 3:20 says, "Here I am, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person, and they with me." The King isn't just knocking on your heart tonight, beloved. He's standing at the door of your destiny with the key to everything you've been praying for in his wounded hand. But the door only opens from your side. The silence in heaven isn't empty, it's expectant. It's pregnant with possibility. It's the pause before the explosion of divine intervention that will leave your children and grandchildren asking, "What happened to you? How did everything change so suddenly?" And that's when you'll tell them about this night. This critical night when you stopped running from your calling and finally ran toward it. But only if you choose to stay. Only if you choose to believe. Only if you choose to let the King show you what he's been holding in his hand all along. The question burning in the throne room of heaven right now is simple. Are you ready to see it? Listen to me very carefully, chosen one. What I'm about to reveal to you has been shown to me in vision after vision, night after night, for the past 7 months. And every single time, the same image appears before my eyes with such clarity, such overwhelming power, that I wake up trembling. I see a hand. Not a human hand, but a hand that radiates light brighter than the sun at noon over Manhattan. And in that hand, listen to this, there is a seal, an ancient seal, carved from what looks like pure sapphire, glowing with an otherworldly fire that makes diamonds look like cheap glass. This seal is no ordinary marking. Engraved upon its surface are 2 figures that will shake you to your very core. On one side, a lion, majestic, fierce, with eyes that burn like molten gold. This is the Lion of Judah, the King of Kings, representing divine authority, unshakable power, the courage to face down hell itself. On the other side, a lamb, gentle, pure, bearing the marks of sacrifice. This is the Lamb who was slain, representing mercy, compassion, the tender love that bled for your salvation. Do you understand what this means? Do you grasp the magnitude of what heaven is about to do tonight? Revelation 5:5-6 declares this truth with thunderous clarity. Then one of the elders said to me, "Do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has triumphed." Then I saw a lamb, looking as if it had been slain, standing at the center of the throne. Tonight, God is not just offering you blessing, He's offering you a complete transformation of your spiritual DNA. He's about to imprint upon your very soul the dual nature of Christ Himself, the courage of the lion and the compassion of the lamb. This is the moment heaven seals you. But here's what will shatter every excuse you've ever made about being too old, too tired, too broken to be used by God. That seal I saw in the vision, it's not randomly applied. It's not given to the perfect, the polished, or the pretenders. It's reserved for those who have walked through fire and refused to bow. It's for those who have been counted out by the world but still show up when heaven calls their name. Are you tired of being overlooked? Are you sick of younger people getting the opportunities while you're pushed aside like yesterday's newspaper? Are you fed up with doctors telling you what you can't do, family members treating you like you're fragile, society acting like your best days died with your youth? Then listen to this prophetic word that's burning in my spirit right now. God is about to flip the script on your entire existence. This is the moment heaven seals you. The next chapter of your life, and I'm talking about starting tomorrow morning, will require both the courage of a lion and the compassion of a lamb. You'll need lion-hearted boldness to break through the barriers that have held you back for decades. You'll need the fierce determination to roar in the face of every limitation, every excuse, every voice that says you're finished. But you'll also need lamb-like mercy. Mercy for the family members who doubted you. compassion for the friends who abandoned you when you needed them most, tenderness toward a world that has forgotten how to recognize true wisdom when it's sitting right in front of them. Here's the shocking truth that's going to revolutionize how you see yourself. God has been waiting for you to reach this exact age, this precise moment in your life, to release the fullness of your calling. While you've been thinking you're too late, He's been saying you're right on time. While you've been believing you're too old, He's been declaring you're finally ready. This is the moment heaven seals you. Moses was 80 when he stood before Pharaoh and split the Red Sea. Sarah was 90 when she laughed at impossibility and gave birth to nations. Anna the prophetess was 84 when she prophesied over the Christ child. Your gray hair isn't a sign of decline, it's a crown of glory earned through decades of faithfulness. But I need to ask you something that's going to cut deep into your soul. How many more years are you going to waste believing the lie that your season is over? How many more mornings are you going to wake up and accept mediocrity when God is offering you the extraordinary? How many more nights are you going to go to bed wondering if you matter when heaven is screaming that you're invaluable? The seal is in His hand right now. I can see it in the Spirit, hovering over this very moment, waiting. If that seal touches your name tonight, if it marks your forehead with the authority of the Lion and the mercy of the Lamb, you will never walk the same again. You will never talk the same again. You will never see yourself the same again. Your relationships will shift overnight. Your health will respond to divine intervention. Your finances will align with kingdom principles. Your very presence will carry an authority that makes demons tremble and angels sing. This is the moment heaven seals you. But here's the terrifying reality. This window won't stay open forever. Divine moments have divine timing, and when the appointed hour passes, it passes. The same God who sealed Noah's Ark when the rain began will seal your destiny tonight if you respond with faith. I need you to do something right now that will activate this supernatural marking over your life. Don't think about it. Don't rationalize it. Don't let doubt creep in. Simply lay your hand over your heart, yes, right now, and whisper these words. Seal me, Lord. Can you feel it? That warmth spreading through your chest. That's not emotion. That's the fire of God responding to your surrender. That's heaven recognizing a heart that's finally ready to receive what's been waiting in the wings for decades. But the question that will determine whether this seal becomes permanent or fades away is this. Are you ready to live like someone who carries both the courage of a lion and the compassion of a lamb? Beloved, you've been circling the bottom of the mountain for too long, 70 years old and still believing the lie that your climbing days are over. 85, and convinced that the summit is for someone younger, stronger, more deserving. But tonight, heaven is extending a divine invitation that has your name written in gold across the top. This isn't about age, dear one. This isn't about your creaking knees or your tired bones. This is about your spirit, that eternal part of you that never ages, never weakens, never gives up. And your spirit is about to take the most important journey of your life. 7 steps. That's all that stands between you and the throne room of your destiny. 7 sacred steps that will lift you from the valley of despair into the palace of purpose. But here's what you need to understand. Each step requires something from you. Each step demands that you leave something behind. Each step takes you higher than you've ever dared to dream. Are you ready to climb? Are you ready to discover what God sees when He looks at you? Because what you're about to experience will shatter every limitation you've accepted about yourself. Step into the first ascent. Step 1. Lifting the head. Step into remembering who you are. Right now, wherever you're sitting, I need you to lift your head, lift it high. Because the crown cannot be placed on a bowed head, and you've been bowing too long. For decades you've walked with your eyes on the ground, shame from past mistakes, regret from missed opportunities, fear of what others might think. But Psalm 3:3 declares, "But you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high." God is lifting your head tonight, not tomorrow, not when you feel worthy, tonight, because he sees the royalty in you that the world tried to bury. He sees the crown that was forged in the fires of your trials. Every tear you've cried polished that crown. Every prayer you whispered in darkness added another jewel. Lift your head, chosen one. The King is approaching, and he's carrying your crown. Step in to the second ascent. Step 2, dropping the chains. Step into freedom you've forgotten was possible. Can you hear that sound? That metallic rattling? Those are the chains you've been dragging for 40, 50, 60 years. Chains of addiction that your grandfather passed down. Chains of poverty that have strangled 3 generations of your family. Chains of depression that whispered you'd never be enough. But Isaiah 61:1 thunders across eternity. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners. Tonight, those chains don't just loosen, they shatter. The sound echoes through hell itself as every demon that told you this is just who you are watches in terror. You were never meant to carry that weight. You were never meant to drag those burdens up this mountain. Drop them. Let them fall. Let them crash at the bottom of this mountain while you climb free. Step into the third ascent. Step 3, cleansing the robe. Step into purity you thought was lost forever. Look down at yourself, beloved. For too long you've seen only the stains, the mistakes that marked your garments, the failures that left their smudges, the sins that seemed permanent. But Revelation 7:14 reveals a stunning truth. These are they who have come out of the great tribulation. They have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Your robe isn't stained anymore. It's not torn. It's not dirty. As you climb these sacred steps, heaven's laundry is washing every spot, every blemish, every mark of shame. You're being clothed in righteousness not because you earned it, but because Christ already paid for it. Feel that fabric against your skin, clean, pure, white as snow. This is how God sees you. This is who you've always been underneath the lies. Step into the fourth ascent. Step 4. Crossing the threshold. Step into territory you've never occupied. Ahead of you stands a doorway unlike anything you've ever seen. Golden, massive, radiating light so brilliant it should blind you, but instead it heals every wound you've carried. This is the threshold between your past and your purpose, between who you were and who you're becoming. John 10:9 promises, "I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture." But here's what terrifies you once you walk through this door. There's no going back to small living. No returning to settling for crumbs when you're invited to the feast. No more hiding behind "I'm too old" when God is saying you're finally ready. The light is calling you forward. Your past is behind you. Your destiny is through that door. Step in to the fifth ascent. Step 5. Receiving the scroll. Step into revelation that will rewrite your story. In the light beyond the threshold, a hand extends toward you, nail-scarred, gentle, holding a scroll with your name written across the top. This isn't just any scroll, chosen one. This is your next chapter, written by God's own hand before time began. Jeremiah 29:11 whispers, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you hope and a future." Unroll it. See what he's written. See the healing that's coming to your body. See the restoration flooding your relationships. See the financial breakthrough that will astound you. See the ministry that will flow through your weathered hands. See the legacy you'll leave that will impact generations. This scroll isn't suggestion, it's divine decree. Step into the sixth ascent. Step 6. Drinking the cup. Step into courage you never knew you possessed. Before you sits a cup. Not the cup of suffering that Jesus drank in Gethsemane, but the cup of victory he won for you at Calvary. This is the cup of courage, the cup that will give you strength to speak truth when everyone wants you quiet. The cup that will steady your hands when they shake with age. The cup that will clear your mind when confusion tries to fog your purpose. Matthew 26:39 records Jesus saying, "Not as I will, but as you will." But tonight, his will and your will align perfectly. He wants you healed. He wants you whole. He wants you stepping into every promise he's ever made. Drink deeply. This courage isn't temporary, it's permanent. Step into the seventh ascent. Step 7. Standing before the throne. Step into your position of power. You've climbed higher than you ever imagined possible. The mountain that seemed insurmountable now lies beneath your feet. And before you, massive, radiant, overwhelming in its beauty, stands the throne of Almighty God. But you're not cowering. You're not hiding. Ephesians 2:6 declares, "And God raised us up with Christ and seated us with him in the heavenly realms." You're standing in your rightful place, not as a beggar hoping for scraps, but as a child claiming your inheritance. This is your prophetic position. This is where you operate from now. Not from defeat, but from victory. Not from lack, but from abundance. Not from fear, but from faith that moves mountains. The King looks at you and smiles. The angels burst into worship. The enemy retreats in terror. You have arrived. Now say it with me, with every ounce of faith in your being. I have stepped in. I will not step back. But beloved, standing before the throne is just the beginning, because now you must learn to rule from this position, and what I'm about to reveal next will determine whether you merely visit this throne room or take up permanent residence in the palace of your destiny. But wait, do you feel that? That sudden chill crawling up your spine, that whisper in the back of your mind saying, "Who are you kidding?" Because right now, as you're sitting there feeling that spark of hope ignite in your chest, something else is happening. The enemy has been watching. He's seen you lean forward. He's felt the shift in your spirit, and he is absolutely terrified. You see, Satan doesn't waste his time on people who don't matter. He doesn't deploy his finest weapons against ordinary souls. But you've got his full attention tonight. Because he knows something you're just beginning to remember. When a chosen one finally wakes up, kingdoms shake. Listen carefully. Can you hear them? The whispers are starting, aren't they? You're 73 years old, Margaret. It's too late for dreams now. You're 86, Robert. Your time has passed. You've been believing this nonsense for decades, and what has it gotten you? Empty bank accounts, empty houses, empty promises. The shadows are gathering around you right now. Chosen one. They're pressing in from every corner of your mind, carrying the voices of every person who ever told you to be realistic. Your ex-spouse who said you'd never amount to anything. Your children who stopped believing in your dreams before you did. The doctor who gave you 6 months 20 years ago. The financial advisor who said you'd never retire with dignity. Nothing will change, they hiss. You'll wake up tomorrow in the same bed, with the same problems, the same pain. This is just another video, another false hope, another disappointment waiting to happen. But I need you to understand something that will shake you to your core. This moment right here, right now, this is exactly what Nehemiah faced when he was rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. The Bible tells us in Nehemiah 6-9, they were all trying to frighten us, thinking, their hands will get too weak for the work, and it will not be completed. Do you hear that? The same strategy, the same tactics, the same enemy trying to make your hands too weak to complete what God has started in your life tonight. Sanballat and Tobiah weren't just historical figures, chosen one. They're spiritual forces that have been assigned to your case for decades. They've been whispering the same lies. Give up. Sit down. Accept defeat. You're too old. You're too tired. You're too late. But listen to what Nehemiah did. He didn't argue with the voices. He didn't try to prove them wrong. He simply said in verse 11, "Should a man like me run away? Should a chosen one like you run away? Should someone who's survived everything hell has thrown at them for 70, 80, 90 years suddenly cower now? Should a warrior who's been refined in the furnace of real life suddenly believe the lies of pretenders who've never faced what you've faced?" The answer thunders from heaven itself. Not this time. Because here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. He's not fighting your present, he's fighting your future. He's not afraid of who you are right now. He's terrified of who you're about to become. Every whisper, every doubt, every reason he's giving you to quit, it's because he can see what's coming, and it scares him to death. You want to know how I know this battle is almost over? Because the attacks have gotten desperate. When Satan starts using your age against you, when he starts using your past failures as weapons, when he starts making you feel foolish for believing that's not strength, that's panic. That's the sound of an enemy who knows his time is up. Remember Elisha on his deathbed. The Bible tells us in 2 Kings 13 that the king came to him, weeping, saying, my father, the chariots and horsemen of Israel." And what did Elisha do? He told the king to take arrows and strike the ground. The king struck 3 times and stopped, and Elisha was angry. "You should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times, he said. "Then you would have defeated your enemy completely. Chosen one, you've been striking the ground with half-hearted faith for too long. You've been believing just enough to stay alive, but not enough to truly live. You've been praying just enough to feel religious, but not enough to move mountains. But tonight you don't strike 3 times and stop. Tonight you strike until the ground cracks. Tonight you strike until heaven responds. Tonight you strike until every demon assigned to your case flees screaming into the night. Not this time. Say it with me. Not this time. The voice that says, you're too old. Not this time. The fear that says it's too late. Not this time. The doubt that says God has forgotten you. Not this time. Not this night. Say it louder. Not this night. The night when you give up? Not this night. The night when you accept defeat? Not this night. The night when you let the enemy win? Not this night. I need you to understand something that will change everything. This battle you're feeling right now, this war between hope and despair, between faith and fear, this isn't happening because you're weak. It's happening because you're dangerous. You are a 70-year-old weapon that hell thought it had neutralized. You are an 80-year-old spiritual nuclear bomb that Satan thought he had diffused. You are a 90-year-old apostle that the enemy thought he had silenced. But tonight, the weapon is being reactivated. Tonight, the bomb is being armed. Tonight, the apostle is being commissioned. And there is nothing, absolutely nothing that the forces of darkness can do to stop what God is about to unleash through you. Say it with me one more time, and this time, let them hear you in the heavenlies. Not this time, not this night, I am chosen. Because chosen one, you've just passed the final test. You've wrestled with the angel and refused to let go. You've faced the darkness and declared your light. You've heard the lies and chosen the truth. But now comes the moment that will separate you from everyone else who's ever heard a message like this. Now comes the choice that will determine whether this night becomes your breakthrough or just another memory. Chosen one, do you hear that? That sound rumbling in the distance like thunder rolling across the mountains of eternity. That's not your imagination. That's not the wind outside your window. That's the sound of heaven's trumpet preparing to announce what's about to break loose over your life tonight. But before that trumpet sounds, before the floodgates of blessing burst open, I need to ask you something that's going to cut straight to the bone. How many more nights are you going to waste wondering if God remembers your name? How many more sunrises are you going to watch through tears, thinking you missed your moment? How many more times are you going to let the enemy convince you that your best days died with your youth? Stop. Just stop. Because what's about to happen in the next few minutes will shatter every lie you've believed about your future. What's about to be released over your life will make your past struggles look like preparation for paradise. Listen. Can you hear it building? That sound. It's getting closer. The trumpet of the Lord is about to split the night air like lightning splitting a thundercloud. And when it does, when that sound tears through the atmosphere like light-breaking stone, everything changes. Everything. You see, beloved, you've been living in the silence between the promise and the performance. You've been camping in the valley between God said it and God did it. But tonight, this very night, that silence shatters. The Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians 15:52, in a flash, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. Did you catch that? At the last trumpet. Not the first, not the second, the last. And dear one, I'm here to tell you your last trumpet is sounding tonight. Every financial door that's been sealed shut, that trumpet is about to blow it wide open. Every relationship that seemed dead and buried, that sound is about to resurrect what you thought was lost forever. Every dream that got buried under disappointment, tonight the trumpet of the Lord breathes life back into dead bones. But here's what's going to absolutely devastate you with joy. Do you remember how this night began? Do you remember the image I painted of heaven leaning over the balcony, angels pressing against the golden rails, watching to see what you'd do? Well, look up right now. Look up with the eyes of your spirit. Those same angels, they're not just watching anymore. They're dancing, they're shouting. They're throwing their golden crowns at the feet of Jesus because of what he's about to do in your life tonight. The courtroom of heaven that was in session when we started, the gavel has fallen. The verdict is in. And it's not guilty, it's blessed. It's not condemnation, it's celebration. It's not rejection, it's resurrection. And now comes the rain. But this isn't ordinary rain, chosen one. This is the rain of restoration. Each drop carries provision for your bank account. Each drop contains healing for your body. Each drop holds reconciliation for your broken relationships. Each drop brings new vision for your future. Matthew 5:45 says, God sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. But tonight, this rain is specifically, intentionally, divinely orchestrated for you. Every drop has your name on it. Every blessing has been custom designed for your specific need, your particular pain, your unique calling. Can you feel it starting to fall? That gentle mist on your face. That's not emotion, that's anointing. That warmth spreading through your chest. That's not sentiment, that's the Spirit of the living God moving in your life with power you haven't felt in decades. The same God who opened the windows of heaven for Noah is opening them for you tonight. The same power that brought water from the rock for Moses is bringing provision from impossible places for you. The same mercy that turned bitter water sweet for the Israelites is turning your bitter memories into sweet testimonies. Tonight is the night. It will be remembered. Tonight is the night. It will be remembered. Tonight is the night. It will be remembered. This isn't just another church service you'll forget by morning. This isn't just another video you'll scroll past and never think about again. This is your spiritual birthday. This is your supernatural new beginning. This is the night your story changes forever. Before we close this sacred hour together, I need you to do 3 things that will seal what God has released tonight. Mark this date in your calendar. Don't just remember it, document it. Write it in your Bible. Circle today's date and write beside it. The night everything changed. Tell someone before midnight. Call a friend. Text a family member. Share this moment, because witnesses make miracles permanent. The trumpet has sounded, dear one. The rain is falling. Heaven's balcony is erupting in celebration. And you are forever changed. Chosen one, as we come to the end of this sacred encounter, I need you to carry 3 eternal truths with you like precious stones in your heart. Remember this. Tonight was not just another night. It was your divine appointment with destiny. The struggles you faced, the tears you've cried, the prayers that seemed to echo in empty air, they were all leading to this moment of breakthrough. Every closed door was preparing you for the one that's about to swing wide open. Second, your age is not your limitation, it's your qualification. At 65, 70, 80, or beyond, you're not winding down, you're being wound up for your greatest chapter. Moses led millions at 80. Abraham received his promise at 100. Sarah laughed with joy at 90. Your birth certificate is not God's expiration date on your purpose. Third, the trumpet that sounded tonight didn't just announce blessing, it announced your permanent identity as one who has been marked, chosen, and forever changed by the hand of Almighty God. But beloved, I need you to know something deeper than knowledge, something that settles in your bones. You are not walking this path alone. Even when the road feels uncertain, even when the breakthrough seems delayed, even when doubt whispers lies in your ear, the God who split the Red Sea is still working miracles in your life right now, in this very moment. And there's something beautiful happening right here, right now, in this sacred space we've created together. Look around these comments. See these hearts connecting. Feel these spirits resonating. You've found your tribe, chosen one. This isn't just a YouTube channel. This is a community of believers who understand your struggles, who believe in your calling, and who are ready to stand with you in prayer. We are here. We see you. We understand you. We will pray with you. Now let me ask you this final question, and let it settle deep in your spirit. What will you do with what God has spoken to you tonight? Will you go back to living small, or will you rise into the calling that has been waiting for you since before you drew your first breath? Before I release you into your destiny, join me in this prayer. Whether you're watching alone in your living room, lying in your bed, or sitting in your car, place your hand on your heart and let me speak over your life. Almighty God, Creator of heaven and earth, the Ancient of Days, I come before you now carrying every person who has watched this message tonight. Father, they've walked through valleys that would have broken lesser souls. They've carried burdens that weren't theirs to bear. They've waited in seasons that felt like forever. But Lord, you see their hearts. You know their struggles. You've counted every tear. Tonight, I pray for divine awakening over their lives. Awaken their gifts. Awaken their purpose. Awaken their authority. Let them no longer walk in confusion about their identity. You've called them by name. You've written their story. You've prepared their path. For those who are weary, breathe fresh strength into their bones. For those who are broken, let your healing flow through every crack. For those who feel forgotten, remind them that their names are engraved on your palms. For those who feel alone, surround them with your presence and connect them with others who share their calling. Father, bless their finances. Open doors that no man can shut. Close doors that lead to destruction. Give them wisdom for every decision, courage for every challenge, and faith for every impossibility. And Lord, let this awakening ripple out. Let them become the voice for others who feel lost. Let their transformation become a testimony. Let their healing become hope for the hopeless. In the mighty name of Jesus, who wore a crown of thorns so they could wear a crown of glory, I seal this prayer. Let your will be done in their lives. Amen. Now, chosen one, if this message has stirred something deep in your spirit, Don't keep it to yourself. Share it in the comments below. Tell us how God spoke to you tonight. Ask us to pray for specific areas of your life. Let this community surround you with love and intercession. Type, "I am chosen," if you're ready to walk in your divine identity. Type God's timing if you're releasing your future to His perfect plan. And please, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. There's someone in your life right now, a family member, a friend, a neighbor, who's been feeling that same whisper, that same restlessness, that same divine discontent. They need to know they're not alone. They need to know they're chosen too. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and ring that notification bell. This isn't just content, this is a movement of awakening. Every week, we're going deeper into the mysteries of your divine calling, unpacking the purpose on your life, and building a community of the chosen. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. Thank you for opening your heart, for letting these words penetrate the sacred chambers of your soul. Thank you for being brave enough to believe that maybe, just maybe, your greatest days aren't behind you, they're ahead of you. The trumpet has sounded, the rain is falling, your destiny is calling. Until we meet again, walk as who you are, chosen, beloved, and absolutely unstoppable in the hands of the Almighty. Go in peace, go in power, go in the unshakable knowledge that tonight everything changed. Amen.